You were talking about rogue moves. One of the most rogue moves, and we're going to potentially see it take play tonight, is Paddy McCartan? Tom McCartan? I always get them mixed up. Tom McCartan.
Tom, yeah.
He's going to be played forward from now on. Am I hearing this correct? The best key defender at Sydney, and pretty much their only sort of B+, you could argue A-grade defender, playing forward.
Yeah, and that kind of still on the coach thing. Do you think this is like, in my opinion, Dean Cox, since he's got to Sydney, in fairness to him, he's come in a bit of a time of, I don't know, sort of like a bit of a crisis for the Swans in some ways. They lose a grand final. I know that's a good problem to have, being in a grand final and getting absolutely smashed. John Longmire quits in, was it January?
Yeah.
That he walks out the door. So Cox kind of gets put into a place that he probably didn't expect himself to be for at least another 12 months. He does seem like he's trying a little bit too hard for me.
Caden said the same thing with like the 2Ks and stuff.
Yeah, like they were plugging that up big. Like he's coming, I want to, teach these guys a lesson, get into the psychology of the game, try to sort of get them back to where they were. But I feel like that, and I feel like these moves, like a Tom McCartan to the forward line, it's a bit of a like, he wants it to. If that move goes well, then pundits are going to applaud him for it, right, and call him a bit of a genius if it really works. He's also moved Sam Wicks into the back line, so he's kind of made these sweeping changes. What are your thoughts on those moves?
It reminds me of in year 10, we had a new science teacher, and like me and the boys were sat in the front row, and like we were just having a giggle, and she just like kicked me out first class of the year.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for them. Just the fact, I reckon this is your worst nightmare. If you're Sydney right now, you've got smashed in 2 grand finals in 3 years. You've got a new coach in the door. You do not want to be playing a rampaging Hawthorn side.
Yep.
One of the hottest sides in the competition. Let's talk about the Hawks for a second, because we've mostly so far talked about Sydney. Why do you like or dislike the Hawks in 2025?
I think one of the, talking of buzzwords, like the coolest term in football right now is high half forward, I reckon.
It's so hot.
And I reckon Hawthorn have the hottest high half forwards.
Talk to me about those high half forwards.
Dylan Moore, All-Australian. Jack Ginnivan, Premiership player, absolute jet. Nick Watson, top pick, just tearing it up. And then you got like Bruce. They've got Dylan Moore playing as a ruck rover tonight.
The teams are an absolute joke.
Oh, right.
Like, you've got Will Day in the forward pocket. That's
they're
not
just
happening.
Trying to throw cheeky ones, aren't they?
Yeah. You can't really trust the teams. I wish we were a bit more strict on that. Just like, not that I know, like in AFL, you're never going to be playing like a formation, but I don't really know why coaches do it. Like, what does he think that Dean Cox is going to look at the team sheet and go, "Ooh,
yeah"?
Like, what are you doing?
Will Day forward pocket.
Yeah, like that's happening.
My God, football season's back.
Yeah.
Football season is back. All the waiting.
Question before we go on: predictions.
Sydney win by 9 points, but I actually think Hawthorn will win.
Hawks by 13.
Here we go.
Newcombe out of the middle, gets it today. What a combination. I can't really see that much more for the Swans.
Nah, yeah. I feel like the Swans have fired sort of what they got. They're going to struggle this year, the Swans.
Okay, you say they're going to struggle. How badly are they going to struggle?
As I said at the start of the stream, I reckon they will struggle to make finals this year, Sydney. And I was someone that backed them to make the grand final last year. Like, I like what they've got, but...
It's such a fine line, though. You say that, like, they'll struggle to make finals. Like, when you think about there's always that congestion in the middle of the table, right? There's always, coming into, like, the last 5-6 weeks of footy, there's probably, 8 teams that are either embedded in the 8 or, like, in the 8 that could slip out. And then there's another 4 or 5 that are kind of on the periphery.
Yeah.
So, like... That sounds, when you say, they're going to struggle to make finals, it sounds really bad, but it isn't necessarily like a terrible... They might only be 2 wins off the top 4.
I reckon they might lose faith in their game style, especially through the loss of Errol Goulden. Like, I haven't seen much tonight that said, like, man, Sydney look good. I've been saying a lot about Hawthorn, though.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about Sydney's... We'll do the A-grader thing here. Like, I don't know a better way to kind of phrase this, but...
Sydney's A-graders?
Yeah, who are their A-graders?
Heaney, Goulden, Warner.
Heaney, Goulden, Warner. Yes.
That's probably as far as I'd go.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I find the A-graders conversation a really difficult question because people always talk about this in football, like someone that's an A-grader. But are there A-graders that are... Can you say that someone's an A-grader just in their position? Like, for example, someone like a James Rowbottom, he's not a star of the competition, but if you compare him to other defensive midfielders in the competition, like guys that pretty much, either defend the opposition's best player, are sort of in there as an attack. They get a lot of tackle numbers at stoppages, kind of just break up play a little bit. Is he not also like a top end player in that position?
Well, I think, did you ever play Ultimate Team, like FIFA Ultimate Team?
No, what's that?
Nah. So it's just like a FIFA mode. But like, you're making the argument that someone like a James Rowbottom has attributes that are sort of A grade. So like his defensive midfield ability. Like
is that per position?
What do you mean? Like, like every player has, say, like, I don't know, come up with like 20 attributes of a footballer. So like intercept, marking, speed.
Right. So does he have anything that is...
I think like you're saying that defensively, like he plays that defensive mid role as good as anyone in the comp, but like you can't consider him an A grader.
No, I think that's
based
fair.
on like his other attributes.
I'll give you one more A grader though.
Go on.
Nick Blakey.
But doesn't defend that well. Like obviously he was an All-Australian last year, but Calamachi kicked 5 on him in the grand final. Yeah,
that's fair. That like this is a little bit like if you're, again, soccer fans here, but like if you're the conversation's always about Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
Like probably one of the best right backs with the ball of all time. And I feel like this is a bit of a Blakey conversation.
Yeah.
And the thing is with Blakey for me, you're talking about those attributes that you just said there. As far as a player that can win the ball back off the opposition, he reads the ball really well and then he can take off and hurt you the other way. He's even done it. I reckon he's been one of their better players tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't exactly have a cupboard full of trophies based on the last few years in the grand finals.
Yeah, the thing with A grader is you've like the Sam McCall list was tough because you can only include 31 players. Dan Gorringe on a sports bet ad. So like you'd go like, yeah, Nick Blakey's an A grader, but there's other players in the competition that I would have. Like we're talking the best 30 players in the AFL.
Yeah, that's that's almost a different conversation to me though. Like, and maybe I'm getting confused with that in the whole.
Right, let's flip it. Hawthorn A graders.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna have fun here.
Yeah,
I'm starting with Will Day.
Yeah. Let's just go now. Let's not go on like what you've done, where you've come from. Will Day is a top 30 player in the AFL, absolutely.
I mean, I'm just watching him play what most people would consider to be. I know you're saying that they could fight for finals, but like they were in the grand final last year. They've been a really good team. They're a strong side, Sydney, and he is dominating them.
Yeah. James Sicily, would you?
Yeah. Yeah, like absolutely.
Dylan Moore?
Yeah. Yep, that's 3. Dylan Moore, again, and I know like we've kind of just had that conversation about the positional thing, but like at that position, he's probably the best. He could be an A-grade midfielder at another team, I think, if he played
A-grade mid.
Yeah.
Big call.
I believe so.
Too bad they got Henry Huswaite waiting for a game ahead of him. Otherwise, he'd be right on the brink of that midfield.
I'm thinking about, I mean, off what I've seen from Watson tonight, like I can't put Watson in there.
No, not at all. Definitely not. That'd probably be it, those 3. Day, Sicily, Moore.
Oh, and Newcomb. I'd put Newcomb in. No?
Nah, B+.
Really?
Yeah, he's not an A grader.
I think
we're talking Paddy Cripps, Bontempelli, Lockie Neal, Jai Newcomb.
Newcomb. Nah. Go on then. Why? What is it? What?
Look, I'm not going to come on this show and pretend to be a footy expert, but
you don't have to be a footy. Anyone can have this conversation.
Well, I don't have enough points to back it up, so now I feel like an idiot. I don't know. Because I don't know. Like, I can't tell you why. I just think like top echelon. I don't have Newcomb in there, and maybe bloody someone comes in with all the stats and goes, he's actually got really high comparison. I'm like, fair enough, bro.
I'm like putting my phone away. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, but like to be fair, he's had a great game tonight, and when Freo played us, we played Freo. He tore us up.
Yeah, you might have a point on the absolute competition best. I just feel like there's a lot of nothing midfielders in the competition, and they've got a star in Will Day, and then he's their second one, and he's still got so much. Like he's explosive at times, the way that he bursts out of stoppage. Yeah, Newcomb. And he's got so much physicality to his game. Like he just has these attributes that are probably fundamental midfielder qualities that a lot of players still don't have
Who would you prefer in your midfield, Caleb Sarong or Jai Newcomb? You've thought about this for way too long.
That is a difficult conversation for me. Like, I'm not going to lie. That is not for me, that is not like a slam dunk.
That shit cray. I'm obviously biased in this, but like.
Yeah. I think Caleb Sarong is not Freo's best midfielder.
Do you think Caleb Sarong's an A-grader?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Glad we can agree on that.
Yeah, he is. Hayden Young's better though. I'd pick Hayden Young before I picked.
Yeah.
Like if they were on a wall and someone said like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
You got to pick these guys.
I agree.
Yeah. So where were we?
Half time in the football game.
We're at half time. Oh, we're talking about Hawthorn and Sydney's A grade players. So
I think we made it through. I think.
So you wouldn't put Battle or Barras,
no,
or Weddle or Scrimshaw or any of those guys.
Weddle has potential to be an A grader.
I think you're right though. I think like when you have that, you're going through all of those players for Hawthorn, you start to go, okay, yeah, maybe they're not A graders, whatever that means, but they're really high level players, aren't they?
Yeah,
and not
100%.
Many players have that many.
Well, we're talking like, think of getting your grades back in school, A's, and then there's a lot of B pluses. Hawthorn have a lot of B pluses. I'd say Sydney have more C's.
Yes, they do.
But you know what's fun? I went to the grand final parade last year.
Yeah.
Connor Rogers was emceeing. Shout out to my man. And he was announcing the players coming out on the back of the cars. And I turned to Caden and I was like, who has a more stacked list here? And he's like, Sydney by far. And I was like, yeah, I agree at the time. But didn't turn out that way. And now
I totally agree. I think I said earlier in the stream, like, I was looking at Sydney's list last year and going, how have they done this? How have they put this team together? It's amazing.
Well, yeah. But now it doesn't look so strong.
I know. What's happened? Nobody's left. Have they?
Nah. Oh, Parker?
Oh, no. Well, he wasn't even getting a game, really. Again, though, that's another example of that conversation that we had before about players that have left to go to a different club to get more time in the midfield or whatever. Parker's another one, was playing half forward for Sydney, and now he's playing half forward for North. Kennedy went from Carlton to the Dogs.
Yeah.
More mid-time. It rarely actually works out because probably the reason that they weren't playing you in the midfield is because you weren't really...
Why do Sydney look so weak now then? How have they gone from having one of the best lists in the competition, one of the best home and away teams that we've ever seen last year, to what they are now? Like this side doesn't look like the side that we saw last year. And I'm not trying to throw smoke at anyone, but Gus Sheldrick has had an awful game.
He looks, yeah.
He's pretty much been mashed up on Will Day and has been given a bath.
He's been absolutely...
Will Day we've spoken about a lot. He's had a phenomenal game. If he was a one-on-one matchup with Isaac Heaney today, I don't think he would... Well, maybe they changed the matchup. Well, it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But
I think at times Connor Nash has been playing a little bit on Isaac Heaney, which is probably why he hasn't had a lot of like time and space to sort of... He's had clearances and he's got his hands on the ball, but he hasn't really broken the game open in any meaningful way.
Let's bring up... All right, so let's talk through the Swans list here. All right, Nick Blakey, whatever.
Do you think, like, back to you asked the question before.
Hang on, let me finish that.
Okay. Sorry.
Blakey, I didn't mean to say whatever. Like, yes, Blakey, good, back six. Melican doesn't do anything for me.
No, like, the only thing that you could say with Melican, it's like, he's not a bad player. He's a key position defender that is just...
He's your classic key position defender that would be third string in any side.
He got drafted because he was tall, right?
There you go. Wicks doesn't do anything for me. Roberts, solid ball user, one-on-one defending, not too sure.
The thing is with Roberts for me, like I'm not really sure if he actually, like as a distributor where your job is to get the ball, you're pretty much in the team for ball movement off half back. I don't know if he's like... He like changes angles enough and really opens the game up for me.
There you go.
Again, solid. And also, he's not going to give you that drive. Like he's not really, drive his legs out of the back half of the ground, get you up the field. So, yeah.
Back to the point I'm trying to make here. This Sydney side does not look stacked anymore.
No, and you don't know why it's happened because halfway through last year, they looked unbeatable. And it looked like they had a sustainable batch of talent as well, didn't it? Like it looked like they were young and they had just pretty much talent coming from everywhere. The one thing that I can say though, and if you look at historically teams that have done really well and have been good for a long time, the team that comes to mind when I say that is like the Cats. Like always really good from, it's a buzzword, but like the spine, really good. Like really good key position players through the middle and like either one kind of blue chip midfielder. Sydney are stacked around the ball and have a lot of maybe the same types of players, but are they actually, is there enough spread of talent?
Would you say the Swans are spineless?
Yes.
There's your title. I'm glad we've got them in round 3. Round 2. So the third.
So who have they got in round 2?
Let's have a look. They have Brisbane.
Yeah, it's all over. They're done. They'll be done.
Put a line through Sydney.
They'll be done by round 5.
Put a line through the spineless Sydney.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they, they're going to lose this. They'll definitely lose to Brisbane. They're not coming.
Is that the SCG?
So is this.
Good point.
Well, this is a good performance, is it, at home?
I love that.
And then they've got you guys.
Tell 'em, Dill.
You guys in Perth.
Yeah.
And they're not winning that.
So they're going to go 0-3 and miss finals. So my prediction's going to stand
and
correct.
And if they beat you guys, you're worse than them. And you guys are probably missing finals. I just felt like those Hawthorn mids, like they had so much more cut through.
Yeah.
When they got the ball. Like Warple early was really good in that. Will Day was awesome. And they're guys that can go and like push into the forward half of the ground and impact.
It felt like they were exiting stoppages from the front.
Yes.
It felt like Sydney were getting the ball around the back.
Yeah, and like those really quick clearances when you've got the one-on-ones inside 50, you can get it to that like 15 to 20 metre zone in the mixer in front of goal. And then if Hawthorn couldn't take a mark, it was Dylan Moore getting to the feet of the talls.
Yeah.
Nick Watson.
Sorry, who needs a key forward? Key forward's the most overrated position in the AFL.
I agree.
Melbourne did it without a key forward. Collingwood did it without a key forward.
Yep.
Hawthorn, this whole Hawthorn needed full key forward fucking argument.
I think it's still nice to have.
Yeah, of course it's nice to have Josh Tracy and Jai Amos and Luke Jackson.
Are you starting to get worried now?
No. We got Shea Bolton, mate. We're sweet. But
But you would rather, I agree, you would rather a Shea Bolton quality player in that position than a Jesse Hogan.
Yeah, I think teams play differently. But I think this Hawthorn side doesn't lack a key forward because they've got Will Day, Newcomb contributing on the scoreboard. Like they have so much goal. Get that set up. How many goals we kicked from the midfielders today?
That's a really good question.
Carl Amon kicked a ridiculous goal.
Will Day, 3 goals. Like getting 3 goals out of a mid is ridiculous. Lloyd Meek kicked 2 goals. So I don't even remember that. That's crazy.
He took a couple marks.
Carl Amon kicked 1 goal too. I'm not exactly sure where he was starting, like whether he was off half back or whether he was coming in off a wing. He sort of like floats a little bit. I've got a feeling with some of these new defenders coming in, he might be a little bit higher. But he's kicked 1 goal too. That would be massively
And
above
if you're
average.
lacking an aerial presence, send that bloke James Sicily forward while Tom Barras and Josh battle. If you think Hawthorn isn't going to contend this year, you're a muppet.
Yeah, that move from Sam Mitchell to put Sicily ahead of the ball once Sydney got back into the game, I think was actually the thing that won them the game. That killed off any hope that the Swans had of getting into the game. Talk about those goal kickers. Dylan Moore had 2. Finn McGuinness had 1 goal too as well. Like to get that sort of output out of him, like 3 scoring shots out of him is awesome. McDonald had a goal. Nash had a goal. Newcomb had a goal. Like everyone had their way with the Swans.
Yeah.
That's incredible. The only one that didn't have a goal that you would really expect to have had a goal is Nick Watson. Who's ended the game with 4 disposals.
Him and Ginnivan, not a whole lot of impact on the ball. But like you never know when you watched on they would have applied pressure.
That reminds me of do you remember I think it was the Sydney, the 2022 premiership, Geelong versus Sydney. And I think it was Gary Rowan had like 3 touches for the game.
And on grand final day?
Yeah. And Geelong sort of came out with this big media spin that he was like, he did his job perfectly.
Yeah.
He was a decoy. And like they won the game, so like they had the last laugh, right? But it was just,
And you're going to say that as well. Like you're not going to hang your boy out to dry.
You're going to protect him after a win for sure. And I'm sure there were things that there was some truth to it, but surely you don't manufacture it so one of your players has 3 touches.
Yeah. And when the pressure's that low, just surely like do a little Marlon Pickett job and just like sit him 15 out straight in front of goal and find him. But he's not on the list anymore, so they obviously didn't like him that much.
So what does this mean?
What does this mean? I think we covered it well throughout the live stream that the Swans are spineless.
If you don't say so yourself.
What?
We covered it well.
What do you mean? What
I'm saying you're like, we covered it well.
All right. I'm stream fatigue's kicking in, but no, I think the Spineless Swans is a headline that comes out of this game. I think their list now, I don't know if it's just the missing Logan McDonald and Errol Goulden, but Tom McCartan goes forward and they look shaky in defence. That was too easy for the Hawks to score today. And I think the story of the Hawks is the aggression that they bring in the midfield.
Yep.
Watch out for Will Day. We'll have to watch this space with Warple, but the flexibility that they have with Sicily being able to go forward and kick goals, the goal contributions from their midfielders. If you think the Hawks aren't going to be a serious contender this year, do you know football?